Well, the acrobat has spoken, although none of it was very deep. If the shoe fits, do not wear it. Although he usually ends up landing on both feet, he always says his sayings from the shallow end of the concrete. I showed up at the party 2 hours early, but it was already too late, after arguing about a comedy in a very exaggerated dramatic state. Although her childhood was kaleidoscopic, her colors were all lost. Sometimes you don't get a butterfly, sometimes life just gives you a moth. She was not always complaining about her calculated fate. She started counting to infinity, but then she only stopped halfway. She walked into the biker party. I couldn't help but notice her nice tight-fitting dress. She was in front of me, facing me from behind, so all I could see was a spider tattoo on her shoulder's back. I knew that after a few hours later, the widow would be black. She had her suspicions about me, but said she wanted proof. She was busy climbing the corporate ladder, but I was already living up on the roof. I know the K is silent, and I knew it wouldn't last, but I'm sending you this postcard from Chicago, and I hope that it gets there fast. He had an honest reputation, and some of it was true. He put her high up in a sky-high liquor tower, and she still complained about the view. She took his royal phone calls from upon mountain high. She still said she remained unimpressed. Was it her practiced nonchalance, or was it her illiteracy? He said he wasn't superstitious and that his employment was at cost, but I knew he was getting paid under the table, and I could see his fingers crossed. He had on his best dinner jacket, but now he was eating humble pie. His eagle arms were barren. There was no flight under his wingspan. With no trophy to show, how could he call himself a man? Some fat guys grow up to be skinny. Some fat guys grow up to be thin. Confidence is not bought in. It is something deep within. I walked into the room with her on my arm like prime real estate. I was the envy of every hungry, jealous eye. She was fluent in sign language that got around by word of mouth. Although he was heir to the king of all written verse, he was far, far from a prince. There was sadness in his mirror, like a frog with virgin lips. The princess had already voted. She was not hard to convince, casting ballots in the kissing booth of life, and she hasn't been heard from since. The rich man's woman are an arrangement. Some could call it a lease. I hadn't paid my taxes in so long, some could say I was deceased. You couldn't say he wasn't rich, although he comes from a block away. I was born right next to the sandpaper factory, and that was my roughest pitch. Poverty